Assalamu alaikum, Ramadan Mubarak. We're here, Ramadan, and it's an amazing day, morning time, and I wish that hopefully you are up because this is British Ramadan here on British Muslim TV in association with Shazan. We have an amazing segment for you today for Sahur, and we're going to be talking to our wonderful chef.
Good morning.
How are you, Leo?
Yes, very well, thank you. Are you?
Oh, nice to see you today, as well as we have another special guest in our Cozy Corner, who is one of the manufacturers who we'll be speaking to later on, who is, I think it's Craig, the director of the ingredients manufacturer, which is really important because we need to understand how we are going to be cooking today, the ingredients involved, and learn more about our chef, his work, as well as Shazan's sort of manufacturing associates. Now, how are you feeling today?
Yeah, good. Hungry.
Really hungry.
So
well, you know what?
in
Normally,
half an hour or so.
when we are fasting as well in the mornings, we sort of open up with something very light. But sometimes a lot of people have a much more appetite for the morning. So hopefully, we're going to have some more of the ingredients, and we're going to learn more about what you're doing. But in the meantime, I want to talk to our guest today from Wraps. Hi, how are you?
Hi, very well, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really happy to have you here today, and it's really important that we understand, the kind of company that you work for, what you do, and sort of the suppliers that you provide for Shazan. So if you could give me a little bit about yourself and the products that you actually supply.
Yeah, of course. So first of all, thank you very much for inviting us down today. I'm Craig, and I look after Wraps UK, and we're part of a wider Wraps group. And we're based down in Brackley, in Northampton.
Okay.
And we are an ingredients manufacturer to the wider industry.
Amazing. So what kind of products and ingredients, like you said, that you actually supply, and what is different about your kind of products?
Yeah, so everything that Wraps provide to the group is kind of based around herbs and spices. So we have a wide range of herbs and spices in our portfolio where the chef can create various different seasoning blends or marinades to kind of fit the profile that Shazan are looking for.
Amazing. And how how much does it take for you to actually have these kind of products, in a way that you provide the sort of marinade? When it comes to marinade, all I see is spices, which is dry, which is wet kind of thing. So describe to me, where does it come from? How does it start? Where do you produce all of these kind of products?
Yeah, so the process starts way back before you actually see the finished product.
Yeah, that's what I mean, yes.
Which is quite the interesting part of the business. So everything that we use is grown on farms, and everything's fully traceable, and we purchase kind of the raw materials from all over the world. Those raw materials are all brought into our manufacturing facility over in Europe and produced. And we have kind of separate facilities for the dry ingredients, and then we also have a different facility for the wet ingredients. We kind of bring both parties together, and then that creates the oil-based marinade for the actual product range that we supply into Shazan. Very
good. We do have a sort of video that we are going to be showing very soon with regards to all of this. But at the same time, when it comes to you, having sort of an association with Shazan, and how is that sort of collaboration important to you for your sort of, clients, and, the collaboration and all of the, sort of companies that you are associated with? I think, for that part of it is really important for you to have that sort of, connection and that sort of business aspect as well. So what does it mean for you to be a supplier to Shazan as well?
Yeah, it's fantastic. We get to work with the leading player in the halal sector within the UK retail market. And the team at Shazan are very good, they're very knowledgeable, and working alongside our chefs, we can create some fantastic products. It means a lot for the Wraps Group to supply into such a business. We do a lot of work with the halal manufacturers, not just in the UK, but also across Europe, and it's a huge part of our business.
Amazing, amazing. I want to also have a look at what the chef is cooking very soon. because it really smells amazing. But before we go there, I want to ask you a little bit more with regards to, you know, what makes your company, your ingredients slightly maybe separate or similar to some of the other sort of companies around, because at the end of the day, we want to sort of see some sort of comparison so that we can understand, you know, your business a little bit further.
Yeah, so Wraps in itself this year 100 years old. So it started throughout, it's a third generation family business.
Amazing.
And it's really important for us, the quality of the herbs and spices that we use. We've done a lot of work with the Shazan team to kind of get the right recipe formulations correct, so the flavours come across in a very way that a lot of people can enjoy them. As a business ourselves, what is key for us is that we have the supply chain in place that allows us to use high quality ingredients all of the time.
That's
and I think that's
amazing.
really important
It
for the
is very
brand
important.
and for the market.
Absolutely. I'm going to go over across just here just to see what's cooking. What have you been doing so far?
So we're looking at a new product for Shazan. So in the background, we've been working on the new jerk marinade, which has probably been going on for 2 or 3 months now, through a various process of development stages. So we'll present the product initially to Shazan, and then we'll do a little bit of consumer paneling. So this is actually the first time the product's been shown to anyone outside of our business or to Shazan. So hopefully we get the thumbs up from you today.
I'm sure we will. Well, while you're cooking over there, we're coming up to a VT, and hopefully we're going to show you a video.
Some of it can be trawling, so we'll go and visit authentic restaurants and we'll taste what that profile should taste like. We'll speak to consumers, we'll gather data, we'll do taste panel sessions, and we'll refine the recipe. So we'll start with a base, we'll then continue to work on that until the Shazan team are happy with it, that it sits under their standards. And then we'll transfer it into our factories. So we taste internally with the Shazan team, and then once the Shazan team are happy then to move it out to their consumers, we'll then test it against a panel. That could be 100 people, it could be 200 people. That would very much depend on what Shazan want to do.
Wow, that's amazing. The thing is, I want to taste that, but I'm sure you've got a little bit more time cooking, and while you do that, I'm going to come back and speak to you. When it comes to our sort of like your role here, I just want to know what's your role so that we can actually get to know you a little bit more, and how is it that you create the sort of like relationship of the business between yourself and Shazan?
Yeah, so I'm commercial director at Wraps UK. So as I said before, we're a subsidiary of a wider Wraps group. So I look after the UK business and the UK workforce, and the relationship that we've built up with Shazan over the last 3 to 5 years started kind of from us going to Shazan to seeing their products on the counter, to wanting to work with them because we knew we had quality products and the brand really was somebody that we wanted to work with. So we started working with the whole team there, the development team involved our chefs with their chefs, and from that you're now seeing the quality of the brand out there in the marketplace.
And it's amazing collaboration as well, not just with the product, but also the people that have sort of combined
Absolutely,
as well.
Yes. The both teams work very closely together. Like Leo said, bringing new products to the table is very important. UK retailers, the flavours, the taste, the trends, and everything like that is how we work together.
And when you talk about flavours, your sort of marinade, is it a selection of flavours? So, for example, if it's coming from different backgrounds, cultures, or do you specialise in one particular flavour of marinade?
Yeah, no, so we have there's a range in the Shazan product range, and we would do various different ones to fit the different kind of time schedules within the year. So there's summer products, there's also winter products.
Oh, wow.
And we're launched a product specifically for Ramadan last year, and it's really based around the trend of the market and how that's moving. And a lot of that comes from the Shazan team doing exhibitions and various different kind of taste testings around, and from that we get feedback, and that's why today you'll get to taste the brand new jerk flavour that we've done.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that actually, and it's about time for me to also eat as well. Now, have you tasted all the marinade?
I have, yes. Yeah, and I have a favourite.
Oh, really? And what is that?
Definitely a favourite. For me, the new jerk will definitely be the best product that's out there on the market.
Amazing. Well, as we are going to continue waiting for our chef to be ready, I would love to see another video here.
Yeah, so you see the intake of the spices, and this is our warehouse where we hold all our raw materials. So you can see here the quality of the dried spices that we use. So these guys will be taking samples out to test, which is very important. So we have full traceability all the way from the fort, all the way through the whole process. These guys work specifically in our technical department. So a lot of testing and a lot of results are analysed to make sure that the herbs and spices are at the quality that we require.
That's amazing to see the science behind it and the actual sort of like technical, advantage that you have because you've got your team on site to make sure that your products is top quality.
Yeah, and it's really important for us. Like I said, the whole brand is really important and leading from start to finish and fully traceable. So here you can see the whole process. So it's gone through the mixing process now, and now it's down through the sieving process to make sure that it's as clean as possible. The finished product goes down into the bags. So you can see there, it's all been sieved, so there's no nasties in the product, let's say. Again, this is the guys collecting the various different spices. So each recipe has a specific ratio of each spice, and the whole process is fully automated in the mixing process. This is our bagging process within the warehouse there, so that you can see it travelling into the warehouse, into where it's all stored. And there's different products here on display. So we do, what you'll taste today is an oil-based marinade, and you'll see here on the VT that these are all our dry spices and various different products that we can offer.
That is absolutely fascinating. I just thought spice was spice, where you just take the, the kind of like herb and you just crush it and that was it. But you've given us an absolute amazing rundown as to your company and how you do it. It gives so much confidence as to the way in which you work and operate. And it seems absolutely amazing, unbelievable.
Yeah, it's a very technical product.
It is.
And a lot deeper than anybody would realise.
Yes.
Not just down to the whole purchasing of the raw materials, but the whole process.
The process, yes.
Along with even the halal governing bodies wanted to come and make sure the whole manufacturing process is right. So it has to be all certified, and that's something I believe on tomorrow's show that will be covered off.
Amazing, amazing. That smell is getting stronger and stronger, and that means that we are just going to allure ourselves to that section, because I think we need to go and hear what the chef is doing.
Yeah, let's go see.
Let's go and have a look. Please take a seat.
Okay. So in terms of the new jerk marinade itself, it's an oil-based marinade, as Craig mentioned. So we'll go through exactly the same process that he's just shown you on the VT there. So we'll take a dry spice mix and we'll add it with oils. Historically, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, Shazan used palm-containing oil. As a business, they ethically moved to palm-free 2.5 years ago. And it's probably not spoken about enough or shown on front of pack, the ethical standards of what Shazan want to offer the market. So the marinade has moved to palm-free. In terms of the marinade itself, as Craig mentioned, it's a dry seasoning, and then we add it into an oil, and then you end up with...
What combination of marinade did you use for this particular
So this is jerk. So in here we've got very traditional jerk spicing, lots of cinnamon, allspice, nutmeg, a big heat of chilli, which is quite hard for me to take. I think the Muslim consumer takes a little bit more chilli than I do. So we've added more chilli in there, more salt, and then a really nice colour coming through from caramelisation on the cook. So we've done it on some chicken thigh pieces here. You can try it, and then I'll continue to talk about it.
I'm actually looking forward to you saying that, actually, to try it. Is this your favourite as well?
Yeah, so this is the new one. So you'll be the first to taste it outside of wraps and outside of the Shazan team. So we started this new kind of marinade with the team on the basis of that we wanted it more of a traditional look. So you can see there it's real heavy, it's quite sticky, quite full in flavour profile.
Oh, thank you so much. That looks absolutely amazing. Really, really nice. and it smells gorgeous. I know over everyone that's watching right now, you cannot have the smells and the aroma, but I'm going to describe it to you. It's absolutely fantastic. Like I said, I was sitting over there and I was just waiting to come over here to actually have a taste because the smell is absolutely gorgeous. And that does come from the spice, because I know that makes a huge difference when you walk into a room and you can smell the flavors. So it's absolutely amazing. So, should we have a taste? Are you happy to do that? Because I am definitely waiting.
So as Craig mentioned in there, you should hopefully get some sweetness coming through first. Some very earthy spicing, and then it will come through into heat at the back. Okay. A lot of that comes from a traditional jerk marinade. So looking at pepper. So there's lots of black pepper in here giving heat as well. So it's not just pure chili heat you associate with Scotch bonnet from a jerk marinade. So there's black pepper in here. There's 2 types in there. Some of it's roasted, some of it's unroasted, and hopefully you get a nice rounded heat. Hopefully it's getting you towards the back, and it's a moreish heat coming through.
Very, very, very tasty. And I'm not just saying that because I'm quite fussy with my food. I am. No, this is absolutely gorgeous. It's cooked amazing, and I can taste, because I do love spice.
Yep.
So you can taste the difference with regards to the spices.
Yep.
In this particular one. So no, absolutely.
Yeah, and this one being the new one, we've increased the spice from the old one, haven't we?
Yeah, so the spice has been increased. I think there was probably a perception from exhibitions that Shazan had done before that maybe it was slightly more of a westernised barbecue flavour profile. It wasn't as hot, it didn't have the traditional Jamaican jerk flavour profile. So we've really worked on intensifying that. And to do that, we went to restaurants, we went to street food markets. We've had the harsh task of going and eating in lots of restaurants to try and find the best jerk recipe. And then we work alongside, as Craig mentioned earlier, the Shazan team very closely in terms of actually getting the product right for their consumer. So you'll taste this today. Shazan are trialling this through their factory in the next few weeks. And then from there, it will then go to consumer panels. From that, we'll then get feedback whether or not it's targeted well enough for their consumer. And fingers crossed, by the middle of the year that you'll have something to taste.
Taste buds, I think that you're going to be very, very successful. I think it's an absolutely amazing marinade. I think it really captures everything that you have spoken about with regards to the process, the technical sort of, way of manufacturing this, and it really does show in the quality that it produces. Because at the end of the day, these things, you think it's so simple, but when an actual ingredient and a recipe is marinated to the specifics, it makes a difference to the entire dish. Yeah. And that's really important.
It is, yeah, and it's important for the Shazan brand.
Of course.
The show yesterday talked about the chicken and the full traceability, and again, now the ingredient side of it just adds to the story, and it's important for the consumer to know that.
So what stage are you at this moment when it comes to the consumer? Because I really want to get this myself when I get a chance.
So the Shazan team are now doing factory trials, so it's not as simple as just being able to take the marinade from concept straight to the shelf. The team at Shazan, the process team, have to run trials through the factory, make sure it works through their whole process. Then what they'll do is they'll do shelf life testing to make sure that from day 1 to day 14 it works well when it sits on the shelf, and then hopefully when the guys pass and get the feedback, it's good to go for the team.
What is the name of this particular marinade again?
So we're calling it the traditional jerk marinade. Hopefully, in the not too distant future, you'll see it as the new and improved jerk marinade on Shazan, both in pre-pack and on the butcher's counters.
Unbelievable. This is really, really fascinating. I think that, we need to sort of have much more of this kind of information, because a lot of us don't really appreciate from, the ingredients to the manufacturing through the processes, because we just think, put ingredients together and just cook, and that's about it, really.
Yep.
So I think you've given us such a lesson today, which is so important. And it's really, for me, it's all about education. It's about giving you that sort of quality insight, how we can actually appreciate food and also understand that what it takes. I am slightly burning in my tongue, but I'm doing okay so far, as much as I can handle the heat. But there's different type of heat, but it's absolutely amazing. And I really do urge that, you continue doing what you're doing, because it's absolutely brilliant, with all these new sort of ideas. I think it's so important that we have a variety and a taste to our sort of food, because it really does make a difference to our health and our nutrition as well. So do you find that when it comes to nutrition, it doesn't really matter because it's spice?
No, it's very important. So Leo will develop a recipe with specific levels in terms of nutritional flavour, nutritionals. Predominantly, salt is the big talking nutritional at the moment, and we work specifically to a level that is required by the UK retailers, and it's hard to replace salt in a lot of products because you still need it in there for the flavour profile. But yeah, it's all worked back right down to the last mark.
Do you know, when I buy sort of products off the shelf, I do find they can be a little bit extra salty because of the preservatives. Do you add preservatives to maintain your products, or how does that work?
No, so all of Shazan's products are now artificial free.
Okay.
Everything's clean label. There's a reduction in E numbers. All of the colours were removed at the same time that we moved away from palm-containing oil. We moved away from artificial colours. So everything that's in there is natural spice derivatives. So whether it's a ground spice or an extract that may be in there for helping with colour or delivering a more intense flavour profile, everything in there is natural. In terms of preservatives on the meat, there's no excess brining or injection, or sometimes you see the bad side of the meat industry, I guess, online, where you see being pumped with water or potentially salt and sugar mixtures. Shazan pride themselves very much on going raw meat with a marinade. They actually only really have 3 or 4 marinades in the market, which work very well. And that's purely down to the fact that a lot of the Muslim consumers still very much buy raw meat and cook it themselves.
Yes, yes.
Whether or not it's lamb or chicken, and they'll put it into stews or curries, and they'll add the flavour. So I think this jerk and the other 2 marinades that we currently supply, so the tandoori and the piri piri, they are very much aimed at the younger Muslim consumer, who are probably more aware of international flavours, and they'll try them and they'll want to cook them. Whereas the more traditional will probably look at adding it to stews or curries. Again, I guess Greg kind of mentioned it the other day that when you're not stewing the meat, again, hopefully that's quite nice and tender. So again, it comes down to the resting time and the resting process. So the moisture in that meat isn't added. The marinades are as clean as they can be.
Yes.
So all in all, it's a great package that we've worked on with Shazan.
Normally when I cook, I've always been told, and I've tasted it myself when I'm making a marinade, and you just kind of let it rest for a while. Is that the norm, or do you think you can get the same flavours with this particular product if it wasn't actually resting?
So this product itself, in terms of pre-cooking, I mixed the marinade here.
Okay.
When you started talking to Craig, and cooked instantly. So that's been on for
as it is.
4 or 5 minutes before it went onto the cook. I'd probably recommend anywhere between 2 hours to overnight. The longer the better, I think, is
what I thought.
Historically.
Yeah.
Hopefully it delivers after not too much time. The longer it sits on there, the better it's going to get. And that's another element that we have to take into consideration when we develop products. Does it taste good after 1 day? Does it taste good after potentially 10 days? Which people don't necessarily want to think about. They don't want to think about products being sat there for 10 days, but that's the realisation that actually they will be.
And how long is the sort of spices can last for a long time anyway? That's one thing to your advantage, to be honest.
Yeah, so because everything's natural and clean,
Exactly.
our spices last anywhere between 12 to 18 months. The marinades themselves, Shazan, get through vast amounts of marinade from us at the moment. So they'll probably turn them around quite quickly. So actually their marinades are probably only sitting for 6 months before it then gets put onto meat and then sold to the consumer. So hopefully, from a Shazan perspective and a marinade perspective, it kind of clears up the nasties of the meat industry, and that actually they are as authentic as we can get a marinade.
No, absolutely. And it's really interesting to hear all of this information because, we're kind of curious, and we obviously hear only sort of one bias or one side of things. So for you to actually clear this up, it gives us even more confidence to buy from yourselves, and also knowing what goes behind the scenes. The other thing I had in mind when you were speaking was the fact that certain products may have some sort of allergic reaction. Does that also happen with spices?
It can do. So primarily, the general rule of thumb for us, for Shazan products in particular, it varies customer based. We develop our products to be as clean as possible.
Yep.
So free from allergens is what we like to do. All of the Shazan products are clear from allergens. From the raw primal products, there may still be some in the sausages, there may still be some in the burgers. We don't supply them. They're primarily on the counter anyway, so they will be signposted, and the Shazan counter teams are very well trained, so they'll be able to help you and support you on if there are allergens in there.
Amazing, amazing. Well, any final sort of like, thoughts and messages that you have, being the director, you're probably really passionate about the work that you do, the companies that you associate and collaborate with. I think it's really important for you to have this opportunity to speak to our audience and sort of, give them some, some sort of thoughts as to what comes to mind. Because even though I'm asking you these questions, I'm sure there's a few that I haven't asked you and you probably want to spit out loud. So please take it away.
Yeah, so as we've covered off, I would just say it's a fantastic brand to be involved with. I think you can see the quality of not just the raw product, but the ingredients that they use. And I think behind the scenes, there's chefs working on new flavour profiles and new concepts all the time. Don't be scared to try them. They put these new concepts and new things in front of people via retailers. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, but the feedback's really important, and from the feedback we can then create better products moving forward.
Absolutely.
So it's really important that people go out and try everything within the brand, not just buy the same product week in, week out, but the new products that are launched, go and try them and feedback to them.
Do you give ideas then as to, with this marinade you can make this, or is it just the marinade? How does that work? Do you give that kind of advice?
So the advice really comes on the pack for the cooking instructions. There is also recipe concepts on the Shazan website that people can go on and download. I think all the things that they see over Ramadan this time that the chefs are doing will all have recipe concepts on there, so people can go on, do it themselves and try it. And I think that's really important.
Well, you know what, that wraps up the show really nicely because we've come towards almost the end, and I think it's absolutely amazing. Do you have any final words for us before we end the show? Chef, amazing cook, by the way.
Thank you. Play with it, enjoy it, experiment. If there are other flavour profiles, as Craig mentioned, get in contact with the team at Shazan. It might not be if one person goes to it, but if there's a flavour profile that you think they're missing, then go to them and we'll do the work in the background. Spice up your barbecue with the jerk. Yes. I think that's the big message. This jerk's going to hopefully fly off the shelves and continue to grow the Shazan brand and an added value brand.
Thank you so much to both of you. It's been an absolute pleasure. Honestly, Chef, amazing chef, great explanation. I think it's so important that you've given us, this kind of information as to how the ingredients is. And for you as well, thank you so much for joining us. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching and being with us today. We hope to see you tomorrow as well, inshallah, in the morning. I hope you enjoy your breakfast, and inshallah, we will see you, tomorrow, and hopefully we will be there and we will have more recipes, more important ingredients for you to share, and we will see you then. Take care.